Hello YouTubers, this is Gold Standards User 924 coming at you with part 2 of my TV finale reactions video for today. So apparently I was trying to make this video this past Thursday, but I sort of fallen ill, so my throat was pretty sore that day, so I was unable to make a video. And, managed to make a speedy recovery, so, I'm suffering a little bit of allergies, but overall my throat isn't as sore as it was from a few days ago, so I guess it's safe to say that I'm on my way to recovery 100%. But I think I'm just fine for right now. Enough for me to at least make a video and not as lethargic as I was when I was falling ill. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna try and do a follow up and to kind of wrap up this TV finale reactions once and for all. So, in this video, I'm also going to talk about The Flash and Supernatural, and as well as actually another TV show that I didn't get to discuss in part one, but I was hoping to do this just recently. And, so far I've been doing a lot of sci-fi and action shows, and so it might seem a little bit out of place, just to kind of discuss this show in the middle of all this. And I'm also going to talk about Girl Meets World for a bit. So, yeah, so I'm gonna kind of kick things off with Girl Meets World, and I've kind of fallen out of the series after Ryder Strong's appearances in the later half of season one. So I'm trying to catch up with all these marathons that Disney does, and now I'm hearing that they're in season two. So I managed to watch like the first 5 episodes of it, and now apparently they're in 8th grade now, so even though time has passed since the first season, it wasn't really that long of a stretch in terms of hiatus. Um, yeah, so Disney Channel, because it's on the basic cable like Disney Channel, so it works a little different compared to like a lot of primetime shows that air on like broadcast TV, like CW, Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, etc. And normally when a show reaches its season finale, they would put it on hold for the next 4 or 5 months before jumping on to a new season with new episodes and all that sort of jazz. But Disney Channel, they completed the first season around I believe April, and now a month later they're already in the second season. So yeah, so Girl Meets World already on to a new year, now that they're in the 8th grade. So, yeah, apparently they were teasing a relationship between Riley and Lucas, which had been kind of going on since as far back as the pilot episode, where there seemed to be some kind of potential chemistry going on between them, or at least that's what the show's trying to give you to your viewers and try to tease the viewers into thinking that maybe these two characters are gonna hook up, and they were gonna go more into that in the season finale where where Riley and Lucas were planning on dating, and Corey and Topanga are kind of a little questionable at that because they feel that their daughter's too young to date. So apparently things didn't turn out the way that Riley and Lucas planned, because they thought that if they were gonna get along as friends, he would think they would become like a long term relationship, to make a commitment to each other. So apparently things were kind of pretty rocky when they tried to make themselves out to be this romantic couple, and then you get to season two, and it turns out Riley and Lucas go back to being friends, and that things are working out. Um, yeah, so apparently that was kind of like the focal point towards the towards the end of the first season, going to season two. um yeah, it was a pretty predictable couple. When I was watching the show, maybe they were kind of trying to make it to like be the new generation Corey Topanga, but with their own, but in their own sort of chemistry. um so I was hoping maybe there would be some kind of little twist and maybe have Riley's friend Maya hook up with Riley, or not Riley, Lucas, the the guy that moves into from Texas to New York. Um, yeah, so they tried to do Riley and Lucas. It didn't work out. I'm thinking that they're probably gonna get to the relationship stuff like when they get to high school, depending on how successful the show is, if it manages to get past the second season. Um, yeah, so um, I, I don't know. I really feel like with it kind of applies with a lot of Disney Channel sitcoms. Like they always have these characters hook up like when they're very very young, and they don't. It's not really until you get to high school that you really start to discover the meaning of love and the idea of having two mates uh, start to form some kind of compromise or a commitment to be there when you need them and be some sort, teasing basically some sort of a romantic relationship in some way or form. Um, so I think they might go back. They might go back to that realm and maybe having Riley and Lucas hooked together, which wouldn't surprise me. Um, Although maybe they might have like a new character come in and maybe have Riley hook up with someone else. I mean, I would like to think that, but I can't really see it. I think they added a new character in the second season, but I can't remember his name. But yeah. So as for the Riley and Lucas stuff, to kind of put it simply put, um, I think they're probably gonna find a way. Eventually they're gonna start having some more romantic relationship again. Maybe just not for the time being, but I think as time goes on, as the series progress, and there are moments um, where there where something happens and there's some kind of romantic tension that goes on, but it slowly becomes more and more apparent. Um, Something along those lines, but I wish I could explain it better. But I think that's how Ryan and Lucas's slow relationship is gonna go. But I'm just kind of against the whole idea of having couples hooking up so soon in the series. I mean, with Corey and Topanga in Boy Meets World, they didn't like hook up right then and there in junior high, but it just took many years to really figure that out. And with Girl Meets World, it seems like kind of like maybe it's a generation thing. Maybe times have changed. Um, because Boy Meets World was out in the '90s. It's a different time period. Society has changed. With all this technology coming in, and the impact of social media sites and stuff. Um, yeah, so I think the downfall, one thing that kind of bugs me is just the quick relationships that form during this time, especially like the romantic ones specifically. Um, but I think that aside, I'm really glad to see some of the other, on the bright side, I'm glad to see some of the older characters from Boy Meets World coming back. It's great to see Mr. Feeney actually having a actual role on the show. I mean, he appeared in the pilot episode, but as like some kind of like a spiritual guide to Corey's teaching. Especially now that he's a teacher at the school that Maya and Riley attend. Um, so that's really cool to see him back. I heard it was supposed to be a significant part. He was going to come back in a very significant role. So I expect more Mr. Feeney in the future. Um, it's great to see Eric Matthews come back. Will Friedle. Just brought some life into that show, especially the humor. Everyone remembers him doing the Feeney call. Yeah, so apparently, Eric Matthews comes back, tries to be kind of like the mediator between Maya and Riley because, due to a fallout that happens, and, he comes in to kind of ease the situation away. Um, yeah, so it was cool to see him back. Um, let's see. I think that was also cool in the fact that they actually went back to Philadelphia and seeing um, just seeing Mr. Feeney's house again. So yeah, so they did like it was like a time capsule episode where Corey, Topanga, and Sean go on a road trip along with Maya and Riley, and basically trying to dig up some of the things that they cared about in the back in Boy Meets World, and I apologize, they're still suffering from allergies. Um, yeah, so they're just digging up some of the things that they put inside their little box, inside the time capsule box. And one thing I always kind of scratch my head is like, where were Corey's parents during this time? I mean, they lived, I believe they lived like next door to Mr. Feeney, so you would think that maybe they would have overheard some noise going on in the backyard, and that maybe, you know, um, that Corey's parents would probably make an appearance and just asking themselves what's going on or something. Yeah, so I was surprised that didn't happen, that they didn't show up in that episode. Um, so I think other than that, I mean, like I said, great to see Mr. Feeney back on the show, especially and as well as Will Friedle. Um, let's see. So yeah, there's gonna be like a lot of returning actors from Boy Meets World coming in. They actually mentioned Angela. Sean actually mentions Angela a couple occasions, and it turns out that her actress is actually gonna show up at some point in season two, and the actor that played John Turner, who was like the teacher for Corey and Sean, the history teacher from the seasons 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, so he's actually gonna come back. Ever since that, I think it was like the motorcycle accident that took him off the show in a way. And then, I mean, he was mentioned like in the graduation episode in season 5. So, but they said that he was in another part of the school, but you never really saw him. But aside from that little mention of his character name, um, yeah, so it's great to see the possibility of John Turner coming back. People have wondered whether he survived the crash or not, but yeah, he also raised Sean when his parents weren't around. That he would stick around in his apartment, and until his father came back to search for his mother. So yeah, so I'm glad to see a lot of returning comebacks from some of these actors, and I think all that's left is Matthew Lawrence's return. So I mean, he played Sean's brother Jack in the later seasons of Boy Meets World. So maybe he'll make a comeback. I haven't heard any announcement of that, but yeah. So they pretty much have almost brought back every significant character from Boy Meets World. It's only thing that's left is Matthew Lawrence, the actress that played Rachel, and I forgot the little sister's name. I mean, Corey's little sister from Boy Meets World. Can't remember her name for whatever reason. I don't think she really got that much airtime, even though she was on Boy Meets World. But I can't really remember anything from that. Just for laughs, basically. But yeah, she was very forgettable. Um, yeah, so those three actors have yet to come back. So overall, Girl Meets World. I mean, I think if it wasn't for all the returning actors, I don't know if I would really continue watching this show. Because it still embraces the whole Disney Channel vibe, and it has the exact same production style and style humor, and I mean, the demographic in Disney Channel is just contrast from the TGIF block, where it's catered towards not just kids, but teenagers, young adults, and just catered toward everyone. But Disney Channel, especially in the past decade or so, it's been starting to cater more towards just the much younger crowd. And I'm not talking about like teenage levels of younger crowd, but like like little kids, like people in their preteens, or in their kind of like in their infant, early childhood age. Um, yeah, so so it was kind of hard to kind of really buy into some of the humor and because I'm in my mid 20s. I grew up watching Boy Meets World and even had better humor than this. But I think the show's decent. I wouldn't say I like it a whole lot. Like I want to rewatch it over and over and over again. Like I'm not that obsessed with it. Um, so I think it's okay, but I think I kind of expect a little more. Um, I don't know what exactly it's missing that Boy Meets World had, you know. Um, but I mean, overall, I mean, Girl Meets World. It's it's still doing very well in the ratings, so I wouldn't be surprised if it goes on for a third season. So maybe if they go to high school, maybe they'll take things up a notch in terms of some of the environment and some of the topics that they go through. I mean, with Girl Meets World, you never really you'll never get topics like someone having like an alcohol problem or someone that has to deal with child domestic abuse like that one episode Boy Meets World where Sean had to bring in a girl and she was getting suffered from her she was getting abused by her father and then um, they're trying to do what they can to protect her yeah so I don't know if they could go as far as to deal with those type of topics like Boy Meets World did but um, I don't know but it just I guess had something to do with the times. So and factor in the Disney Channel regulations in terms of the content that they would air and what not to air. But it is what it is. So that's really all I have to say about Girl Meets World. Pretty decent, but not a show that I would say that's out of this world. But I think the returning actors and them coming back just for those um, just for those recurring moments alone to kind of remember the good old times. So I thought those were kind of the redeeming qualities of the show. But you see, that's why I kind of fell off. Towards the end of the first season. I mean, there was just something missing that I can't really describe it. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on Girl Meets World. Next show I want to really talk about is the season finale of The Flash. I mean, they're obviously going to go for a second season, so it's not a series finale like I was almost about to say. But the season one finale of The Flash overall, I mean, I really enjoyed it. Barry Allen gets this. Barry and the gang have finally captured Eobard Thawne, who was posing as Dr. Harrison Wells, who his original counterpart had been killed, and eventually, Eobard Thawne, who was came from the future, ends up going back. He sucks his DNA and just basically tries to just kind of be some sort of like a doppelganger as Harrison Wells. Like he isn't like the actual same person from that was operating Star Labs. So apparently they capture him and basically start to testify over as to why he did what he had to do and why did you kill Barry's mother and stuff. And then because of that eventually Eobard Thawne just gives Barry an opportunity to right the wrongs by going back in time to prevent his mother's murder. So there's a lot of emotions that Barry's kind of going through. He's asking, he's interacting with some of his accomplices. He's talking with Caitlin and Sis. I don't know if he talked with Cisco, but he talked with all these characters. With Iris and Caitlin and Joe. Iris's father. Just asking all these, just trying to, ask himself, just, whether or not maybe going back in time would be an appropriate move, because this could potentially undo all the good deeds that he's done throughout the year, like saving the city, protecting innocent civilians from getting harmed by all these villains that are coming in and out of Central City, and just doing all these sorts of good deeds, and being positive influence to the city. Like he is the savior of of that city, of that setting, Central City. Um, yeah, so eventually, Barry Allen goes back in time um, and chooses not to save his mother, and so then he eventually goes back, and they have this little, him and Eobard Thawne end up having this sort of fight. Eobard Thawne's set free from his containment, so they have a fight scene, and then what is it? Eddie ends up getting murdered, and so Eddie commits suicide, and because Eobard came from the future, he ends up getting digitally erased. So and then eventually there's like a wormhole that opens up in the city, and then Barry, as the Flash, is try to do what he can to close the portal, but apparently he gets, it seems supposedly from that end scene, he gets sucked inside the wormhole and potentially going through a different universe. Um, yeah, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the whole season has been consistently great. I could really see just how much effort that they put into this show, and when the show came in, a lot of people were kind of questioning on Grant Gustin, who played Barry Allen on the show, and whether or not that he could pull off the emotional, just trying to kind of relate to the struggle that Barry's kind of been going through prior to the show, and um, trying to investigate as to the person that was responsible for his mother's murder, and trying to get Barry's father out of jail, because just assuming that um, he was just he was accused to have murdered his wife. Um, so there's a lot of stuff that just kind of goes through, and I don't want to like necessarily spoil it as much as I did already with the season one finale. So I'm very optimistic as to see what's going to happen in season two. They're pretty much going to set the seeds for what's going to happen for Legends of Tomorrow, which will be coming out around early 2016. So it's going to be a slow transition, and I'm very excited to see Barry go through all these sorts of different parallel universes. So that'd be cool to see. And 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 also Caitlin and I can't remember his name again, but Caitlin Ronnie. I don't know how I keep forgetting, but Caitlin Ronnie end up getting married. Love the crowded house music there in the background. Hopefully they don't edit that out when they release the DVDs, but yeah, I like the crowded house music played in the background. I thought that was a pretty cool touch to their little marriage, or mini wedding, however you want to put it. I don't expect Ronnie and Caitlin to be a wedded couple for very long, because it's gonna be a matter of time. I think Ronnie's gonna get killed off like around season two, so which probably explains why his actor Robbie Amell isn't confirmed to be on Legends of Tomorrow. It's actually someone else portraying Firestorm. So I think something's gonna happen around mid season two of the Flash. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and Cisco's starting to have all these sort of visions that he's getting, that he has some sort of connection to the parallel universes. Because if you watch, watch the scenes where Eobard Thawne ended up murdering him by taking out Cisco's heart and just murdering him in that one episode. That one episode with the Time Wizard, and so it's obvious that it's gonna play a big factor into what's gonna happen for season two, just to really envision all these sorts of crossover events that are occurring throughout all these different universes. Because Barry's starting to learn more, starting to really adapt into the Flash suit so much. But overall, the Flash just definitely enjoyable show. Um, so I'm very optimistic to see what's going to happen for the second season. And also the Flash aside, and Supernatural. Also going to discuss a little bit of that. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail as much, but yeah, just rewatched the season 10 finale a second time, and just recorded on my DVR. So season 10 overall just been kind of not the strongest season around compared to the other story arcs that have happened. Um, yeah, so apparently, Dean still got the mark of Cain, and obviously Sam, Rowena, Crowley, Cassio tried to figure out an incantation spell to kind of get rid of the mark of Cain, and so Dean's kind of wrecking all this sort of havoc. Sam tries to track down Dean's location, and just convincing him to kind of stop all this madness. Um, yeah, so basically, Sam and Dean have this little fight at a random Mexican restaurant where it's all empty, and Dean ends up summoning Death, and they were kind of teasing the idea that Dean is the Grim Reaper, or just kind of offering him some sort of deal of that, and just when Dean looks like he's going to kill his brother, he ends up killing Death instead, and eventually Rowena performs the incantation and successfully gets rid of the mark of Cain. So apparently, because the mark of Cain was used as a kind of like the seal to banish Lucifer and his demons out into hell, and now that the mark of Cain is released or is destroyed, this allows all these demons to come out of their to come out of hell and to raise all havoc on Earth. And Dean and Sam try to get out of all that black smoke, and it kind of ends in the cliffhanger there. So yeah, so season 10, episode 23. I would say that there were better season finales. It's just that we've seen this sort of thing before. Like, this was like a combination of the Swan Song episode in season 5, except the only difference is that instead of Sam being the being possessed by Lucifer and just being the shit out of Dean Winchester, so now it's Dean kind of beating up Sam in his own way, except not as dramatic as it was in the 5th season. And then you also combine that with the season 2 finale, where all hell breaks loose, where even though the Winchesters end up defeating the yellow-eyed demon that killed their mother, so all these demons were coming out of their shrine and were spreading havoc all over the earth. So it seems like we're getting a repeat of that again, or at least a more of like a revenge type of storyline for season 11. I thought it was an okay finale. I wasn't like that excited, but with the whole Sam and Dean relationship, I mean, I don't know if they're obviously never gonna be on good terms, but they should just end the series here. I mean, what more is there left to do, I mean, they've done storylines like the Four Horsemen, they've done demons, they've done fallen angels, I don't know, man. But hopefully, I mean, there's no official statement as to saying season 11 is going to be the last, because they haven't really mentioned anything like that. So it's until then, Supernatural is going to continue as long as it will. We'll have to wait and see how everything unfolds. Rowena blackmails the Winchesters once again. Let me know what you guys think. But till then, this is the Gold Standards User 924 signing out.